What if everything you've been told about finding your niche is just a complete lie?
Right, like a total fabrication.
Seriously, think about how people usually talk about building a business or, starting an online side hustle. They always frame it like it's this grueling jungle expedition or something.
Oh, for sure. You're supposed to, like, pack your bags and hack your way through the dense underbrush.
Yeah. And then somehow you just magically discover this elusive golden thing called a niche.
It's framed as if your niche is some rare species of butterfly that you have to go capture out in the wild.
Mm.
And the implication is that if you don't find it, well, you can't even start.
Exactly. But according to a really fascinating source document we're doing a deep dive on today, you might be completely surrounded by the exact raw materials you need right now.
You just can't see them.
Right, they're invisible to you. So the guide we're looking at is called The Blueprint, and it's written by Sammy, the creator behind the brand Sammy Central. And our mission today for you listening is to completely dismantle this roadblock. We are going to break down the myth of the missing niche.
It's such an important topic.
It really is. We're looking at this foundational mindset that you actually already possess all the skills and experiences you need to build multiple streams of income.
And, Sammy's own brand is just the perfect case study for this, because he didn't go out and invent a completely new fake persona.
Right.
He built a multi-pillar brand and several income streams, by the way, around the things he was literally already doing in his daily life.
Which were what exactly?
Things like basketball coaching, his personal
Yeah.
faith, gaming, and just offering creator advice.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core premise here is incredibly empowering. It essentially states that you do not need to go search for a niche because your niche is already inside of you. But, that almost sounds too simple. If it's already inside of us, why is everyone so stuck?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the most valuable assets we have are often completely invisible to us. And that's because they feel too natural.
Wait, what do you mean too natural?
Like, when you do something easily, or maybe you've done it your whole life, you heavily discount its value. You just assume everyone can do it.
Oh, I see. Like, this is easy for me, so it must be easy for everyone.
Exactly. Or you assume it's just a hobby and not worth anything in, like, a structured business context.
Yeah.
So you keep searching outward, but you never actually think to look inward.
Which brings us to the practical reality of what you already possess. Because obviously you can't build an income stream without raw materials. And Sammy argues that the internet straight up lies to you by telling you to go find a niche.
Yeah, he's very direct about that.
He says your niche is actually whatever you talk about when no one is even asking you to. It's a thing you would happily do on a Saturday morning for totally free.
And he uses this incredibly powerful phrase in the text to really hammer this home. He writes, "Your testimony is your curriculum. Your experience is your product."
Oh, man. Let's actually pause and look at that phrase. Your testimony is your curriculum.
It's good? Right.
It completely changes the math. You're saying you are already qualified to teach or sell something simply by virtue of having lived your life.
Having lived your life and solved your own problems. Yeah. Love it.
Exactly. That's wild. It's like searching frantically for your sunglasses when they're already sitting right on top of your head.
That is the perfect analogy.
Oh.
And to help you get those invisible assets out in the open, Sammy outlines this exercise he calls the asset inventory.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, the number one rule here is do not rush this and do not disqualify anything. You're supposed to sit down and write the honest answers to a few very specific questions.
I'm ready. What's the first one?
The first one is, what do people actually pay you for right now? Or what do they consistently text you to ask for advice about?
Oh, that's a really good one. Because people's actions, like actually taking the time to ask you for help, that proves there is value there.
Right. They're validating your expertise without you even asking.
Yeah, like you might be the person everyone calls when their laptop crashes, or the one friends always ask to look over their resumes. What are the other questions?
So the second is, what could you talk about for hours without running out of breath?
Love that.
Third is, what problems have you solved for yourself that others are still out there struggling with?
Okay.
Fourth, what are you consistently complimented on? And finally, what life experiences, and this means both good and bad, have shaped how you see the world?
That makes a lot of sense. It really takes the pressure off, you know? You aren't inventing a character, you're literally just documenting your reality.
Yes, exactly.
But I actually want to push back on this a little bit. Let's take one of Sammy's pillars, for example. Gaming.
Okay, let's look at gaming.
Is simply talking about a hobby really a sturdy enough foundation for an entire business? I mean, just playing video games sounds like a really flimsy way to try and build a reliable income stream.
And that is a very fair point.
Hmm.
It's honestly where a lot of people completely misunderstand the creator economy.
So what's the missing piece there?
If we look closely at the source, the value isn't just the raw hobby itself. It's the trust and the authority you naturally build around that area over time. Let's use your gaming example.
Okay.
A gamer isn't just playing games. To get good at streaming, they've probably spent like 400 hours optimizing their broadcast software.
Oh, right. Dealing with tech issues.
Yeah, figuring out how to fix audio delays, testing out budget microphones, organizing a community Discord server.
I see what you're saying. So it's not the game itself, it's the entire infrastructure around the game.
Precisely. When Sammy talks about his gaming or his basketball coaching, he's bringing years of nuanced understanding, problem solving, and community connection to the table.
That's a huge distinction.
It is, because the internet is already full of free information.
Right.
People don't buy raw information anymore.
No, they can just Google it.
Exactly.
Right.
They buy the application of that information from someone they actively trust and resonate with. The hobby is just the context. Trust is the actual product being exchanged.
So the real value is that you've already walked the path, you've tripped over the tree roots, so you can turn around and tell the people behind you where to step.
That's beautifully put, yes.
Okay, so let's say you've done this asset inventory, you know what you're good at, you know what problems you've solved, you've got your raw materials. Why do so many people look at that list and still completely freeze up?
Because it's scary. The document shifts here from recognizing your potential to identifying the mental roadblocks that stop execution dead in its tracks. And Sammy points to three primary culprits here:
Which are?
fear, doubt, and lack of clarity. People look at their list and instantly think, well, I'm not an expert, or this has already been done a million times.
Yeah, imposter syndrome hits hard. And what does the blueprint suggest we actually do about those roadblocks?
Sammy's antidote is very straightforward. It's action.
Just doing something.
Right. Action dissolves theoretical fear. But, to sustain that action, he points to a very specific foundational mindset. For Sammy personally, that anchor is his faith.
Right.
His core mechanism is the belief that God is good in every season.
And just to be clear, for you listening, our goal here is to impartially explore the source material. So we aren't endorsing any specific religious viewpoint.
Of course.
But looking at the document, we absolutely have to note that relying on faith over fear was the foundational mindset that carried him through doubt.
It's vital context, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because it provided him with a baseline of resilience. When fear tells you to stop or the analytics are just terrible, having a deeply rooted why, which in his case was his personal faith, tells you to take the next step anyway.
It takes the weight off.
It does. It removes that paralyzing pressure of having to have the entire business perfectly figured out before you post your first piece of content.
And starting actually requires a massive unlearning process, doesn't it? Sammy says we are all deeply conditioned to think in terms of jobs.
Oh, yeah. The job's mindset.
You have one role, one boss, and you get one paycheck. But to build multiple income streams, you have to completely shift your mindset to thinking about lanes.
Right. And a lane is basically any avenue where the value you create can become income you receive.
I actually love visualizing this like a massive highway. If you have a traditional job, you are basically driving one single car in one single lane.
And if there's a wreck.
Exactly. If that lane closes or your car breaks down, you're just stuck. But building multiple streams of income is like opening multiple toll booths across that highway. You're creating different lanes that traffic can flow through.
That's a great way to picture it.
And some are active income lanes, right? Like
Yeah.
doing one-on-one consulting where you are still trading your direct time for money. But some are passive income lanes, which actually generate money while you sleep.
Yes, but here is a crucial nuance Sammy insists on. You do not open 10 toll booths at once.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right. He has a very strict rule for starting.
Yeah.
You pick just 2 or 3 lanes where you have a genuine skill, where you've seen clear demand, and, this is the most important part, where you can realistically monetize within 90 days.
Okay, 90 days. What were his?
For him, those very first lanes were his basketball coaching, creator education, and digital products.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Let me stop you there, because opening 3 lanes sounds exhausting. I feel like if I tried to launch 3 separate businesses today, I'd burn out by Friday.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
Doesn't this whole strategy imply that I need to, quit my day job immediately just to have the hours in the day to make this work?
That's a huge misconception, and Sammy explicitly shuts that down in the text. Absolutely do not quit your day job yet.
Okay, phew.
Yeah, the goal in this early stage is not to replace your salary. The goal is simply to build evidence.
Evidence. What kind of evidence?
Evidence that you actually have an audience. Evidence that these specific lanes are viable. Evidence that people will actually pull out their credit cards and pay for what you're offering.
So you're just testing the waters.
Exactly. And you build this evidence using just 5 to 10 dedicated hours a week, early mornings, late nights, maybe a Saturday afternoon. You keep the financial security of your day job so you don't panic while you validate these lanes on the side.
Okay, that makes it feel so much more achievable, but it naturally raises the next question. If you are only working 5 to 10 hours a week, what exactly are you doing with those hours?
Right. What's the actual work?
Yeah, what is the core activity? Because you mentioned traffic flowing through these toll booths earlier. You can't just build a toll booth out in the middle of the woods and expect cars to miraculously show up.
Exactly. You are spending those 5 to 10 hours building the roads and the highway signs. And in the digital world, that infrastructure is content.
Content.
Content is the foundational layer. It builds the audience, it establishes your credibility, and it creates the funnel that all the other income streams rely on.
Let's actually clarify what a funnel means here, because we hear that word thrown around a lot in the marketing space.
Simply put, a funnel is just the journey someone takes from discovering you even exist to trusting you to eventually buying something from you. Your content is the very top of that funnel. It's what catches their attention in the first place.
And Sammy calls content your 24/7 salesperson, that concept is incredibly compelling to me.
It's the best employee you could ask for.
Think about how wild it is to have an employee that never sleeps, never takes a lunch break, never demands a salary increase, and just works for you around the clock.
Yep.
If you make a video answering a common problem, that video is out there pitching your expertise to people across the globe at 3 in the morning while you're fast asleep.
It is the ultimate form of leverage. But the blueprint notes that you can't just post randomly and hope it works. Every piece of that content needs to serve one of two very specific purposes. It must either build or convert.
Break that down for us. What's the difference?
So build content is designed to attract new eyes. It's shareable, it's highly valuable, and it establishes your authority. You are basically giving away your knowledge for free.
Okay. And convert.
Convert content, on the other hand, is designed to move your existing audience toward your paid lanes. It's where you actually make an offer. And Sammy emphasizes a golden rule here. You must build before you convert.
Because if you just start dropping links and trying to convert people on day one,
You're shouting at the walls.
yeah, you're essentially standing in an empty room. You have to build the trust first. But I really appreciate that Sammy doesn't sugarcoat this process. He is refreshingly honest about the unglamorous realities of this journey.
Oh, he gets very real about it.
He talks about the isolation of editing a video at 2 a.m., wondering if anyone will even watch it. He talks about those weeks where you pour your absolute soul into something and the analytics barely move an inch.
And that disconnect between the massive effort you're putting in and the tiny reward you're getting early on, that breaks most people. He calls the antidote to this the principle of consistency before cash.
Consistency before cash. I like that.
Trust is the sole currency of the internet. If you try to chase the cash before you've established consistency, you build something hollow that will just collapse. You have to become the creator that people can predict will show up week after week.
Okay, let me play proxy for a skeptical listener here for a second.
Go for it.
If I'm putting in all this grueling work at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, and weeks go by and my analytics are just totally flatlining, isn't that a giant red flag? Shouldn't I take that as a sign from the market that my lanes are bad and I should pivot or just quit entirely?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Sammy actually argues the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He introduces this concept of the long game. He points out that most people quit right before the compound effect of their work actually kicks in. Those flat lines, those agonizing plateaus where nothing seems to be happening. They aren't signs of failure.
They aren't.
No, they are very often the necessary precursors to major shifts in growth.
Oh, wow. So it's not a talent game, it's an endurance game.
Precisely. The source materials is very clear on this. The winners in this space aren't necessarily the most talented people or the ones with the most expensive cameras.
Right.
They're the ones with the most endurance.
The ones who don't quit.
Exactly. The ones who keep showing up when it's boring, when the novelty is worn off, and when absolutely nobody is clapping for them.
So, okay, you've put in the 2 a.m. reps, you have an audience that trusts you, you've played the long game, but trust doesn't pay the rent.
Right.
At
Yeah.
some point, you have to actually flip the switch and ask these people for money, which terrifies most new creators. How does Sammy suggest crossing that bridge into monetization without feeling like a sleazy salesman?
It starts by understanding the profound psychological weight of making your first dollar online. Sammy highlights this as a massive, massive milestone.
Just $1.
Just $1. Not because $1 is going to let you quit your job, but because it proves market value. It proves that a stranger somewhere in the world found enough value in your brain to give you their hard-earned money. It validates the entire system.
And to get that first dollar, he outlines some really accessible entry points because you don't need to spend 6 months building a massive, complicated online course right out of the gate.
No, please don't do that.
He suggests starting with simple digital products. We are talking about things like a helpful PDF, a resource guide, or a Notion template priced anywhere in the $17 to $37 range.
And logistically, you don't even need a complex website for that.
Yes.
You host that PDF on a low-friction platform like Gumroad or StanStore, you put the link in your bio, and you mention it in your content. Super simple. It has low overhead, and it's totally scalable. This is what we call evergreen content. You create the template once, and it can continue to sell passively for years.
Then for active income, he suggests coaching or consulting, pricing at around $75 to $150 an hour. You are trading your time, sure, but you are building incredibly deep relationships and getting direct feedback from your early clients.
Which is invaluable.
And then eventually you add affiliate partnerships, community memberships, brand sponsorships.
But there is a massive roadblock here that stops creators from even launching these products, and that's pricing insecurity. New creators notoriously underprice their knowledge because they suffer from terrible imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely. So what does this all mean in practice? I mean, let's say I've got my hobby, right? Maybe I'm really good at organizing chaotic spreadsheets for small businesses.
Okay, good example.
Isn't it a bit arrogant of me to charge someone $150 for an hour of consulting when I'm just starting out, and I'm basing it solely on things that just come naturally to me?
This raises an important question about how we value our own lived experience. The source directly dismantles that specific insecurity. Sammy argues that the value of your knowledge is absolutely not determined by how long it took you to learn it, or how easy it is for you to do.
Then what is it determined by?
The value is determined entirely by the transformation it creates for the buyer.
Wait, hold on. Let's underline that. Pricing the result, not the effort. That completely rewires how you think about your worth.
It does. Think about your spreadsheet example. If a small business owner spends 10 hours a week ripping their hair out over chaotic finances, and you charge them $150 to set up a system that fixes it in an hour, they do not care if that system was easy for you to build.
Right. They just want the pain to stop.
Exactly. You just gave them back 10 hours of their life every single week. That transformation is inherently worth real money. You are pricing the result of the obstacle you removed for them.
That is such a powerful reframe, and it totally changes the narrative around selling, too. Because when you look at it that way, selling isn't pushy. Sammy says selling is simply offering something highly valuable to someone who desperately needs it.
It's solving a problem.
Yeah. When you know you can genuinely help someone get unstuck, withholding that solution because you're shy is actually doing them a disservice, selling authentically is generous.
And to sell authentically, you don't need manipulative tactics. You just share stories. You share the story of how your spreadsheet system gave a client their weekends back. You share your own journey of figuring it out. Humans connect through stories, and sharing them never feels forced.
And there's one more multiplier Sammy mentions that we absolutely have to cover to really understand his ecosystem, and that is community. He makes a really sharp, deliberate distinction between having an audience and having a community.
It's a vital distinction for long-term survival. An audience is passive. They just watch your videos, consume your content, and move on.
They're just spectators.
Right. But a community is active. They participate, they talk to each other in the comments or in a Discord server, they support one another, and they act as a growth multiplier for your brand. They will carry your message and defend your value far better than any social media algorithm ever could.
So, to bring this all together for you listening, building multiple income streams is not about inventing some fake guru persona or finding a magic niche out in the wild.
No, not at all.
It is about taking a fearless, honest inventory of the life you are already living right now. It's about recognizing that your experiences are valid products. It's about opening a few targeted lanes, dedicating a focused 5 to 10 hours a week to making consistent content, and building a community that genuinely trusts you.
And it's remembering that the 2 a.m. edits and the slow seasons aren't signs to quit. They are just part of the required endurance.
Sammy notes at the very end of his blueprint that his ultimate mountain wasn't hitting some massive, flashy revenue number. His mountain was simply to be a living example that anyone can do this, that you can build something incredibly meaningful from exactly what you already have.
The powerful thesis to internalize. Everything you need for the expedition is already in your backpack.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive. The blueprint reminds us that our experiences, especially the incredibly painful or bad ones, are assets. We started this whole conversation talking about that exhausting jungle expedition to find your niche, looking everywhere but right in front of you.
Searching the horizon for the map when it's already in your pocket.
Exactly. So I want you to think about the most difficult, frustrating challenge you've had to overcome in your own life over the last 5 years. That thing you barely survived, that problem that kept you up at night. What if the exact steps you took to get through that challenge are actually the curriculum for your most profitable, most impactful income lane? What if the map you used to escape your own jungle is exactly what thousands of people are waiting to buy?